This is my review of The Last Saiyuki Chapter 3, Sai and Ken. This may actually end up being my last review of the series. I'm not sure what Shonen Jump is doing. In the past, they've done 3 chapters of a new series, and if it's popular, it comes back. It's in the weekly lineup until it ends. If not, then it's basically just forgotten about. It would obviously still continue in Japan, but finding a proper translation of a series that wasn't popular enough to come to Shonen Jump isn't always easy. I've had to wait years to finally see how series ended just because no one bothered to translate it after Shonen Jump didn't pick it up. But I am hopeful. This seems like a very interesting series, and I'd certainly like to see where it goes from here. Alright, let's get into it. So the opening page is Ryu laying next to his dying mother in a hospital. It's just so cheerful and happy. Such a pleasant way to start this series about monsters and armless and legless blind little girls. Anyway, this may hamper my theory a bit that she was killed because of a monster possibly created by Koharu, but she could have just been severely injured, head wound, organ damage from the attack, and that's why she's like this, though I'm leaning more towards an illness being the cause of this. But the important part is, in the end, right before she died, she apologized because she wouldn't be there to see him hit any home runs. And this really affected him in a deep way, because then later on when Koharu said that she was sorry for something that wasn't her fault, this brought back the sense of guilt he felt when his mother died, because he didn't want her to feel bad for dying. It wasn't her fault. And it's not Koharu's fault that she summons giant freaking monsters everywhere she goes. Though, again, I'm sorry, Internet, but Koharu should die. She is too dangerous to survive. Oddly enough, he can see the monster in the dark. It even says it's pitch black, but I can see the monster. I can see its every movement, which is interesting. I'm not sure if this is some kind of crazy priest power he has, or if maybe monsters just glow in the dark. I mean, either one is very possible here. Anyway, then we learn more about the power pole. That's not its actual name. It's called as Niobe. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. So I'm calling it the power pole, and hopefully someone will catch that reference. It's not that old a series, is it? Anyway, so it has the power to stretch, which I didn't actually realize. I know we saw it stretch when he first used it. When his father first used it, but I didn't actually realize that was it stretching. I thought he just kind of like rammed it through the door, and man, I thought he just like rammed it through the door and realized he just put part of it through the door and then made it stretch really long to cut the monster in half. So it's interesting how he uses the stick, because his father basically just shot it forward, and that's how he obliterated the monsters. But Ryu swings it. To him, it's a bat, which I kind of speculated in the last video. I thought he would imbue the magic powers in his actual baseball bat, because that would just be more natural to him than just using his father's staff. But he's using it essentially as a baseball bat, which just works so well for his character and what he wants. I think it'd be really funny if he still goes to play baseball and tries to hit things with the staff. I'd be like, that's not a baseball bat. They'd be like, show me where in the rule book it says I can't use a magical stick as a baseball bat. Airbud rules. Anyway, it's also basically said that the only limitation to using the stick is that you have to believe in the impossible, which feels like the entire lesson his mother is trying to teach him his entire life. Catching a baseball with her bare hands, coming out of a coma when they said she had no chance coming out of a coma. She's really gung-ho on the proving the impossible is possible thing. May have been trying to prepare him for this life as a priest. The staff is also essentially splittable, as in you can just cut it in half and give it to someone else and they can use it, assuming they believe in the impossible. Which, a lot of questions about that. His father said that's how he got it when I'm assuming his father cut off part of the stick and gave it to him, which to me means this thing can extend literally infinitely. Otherwise, they'd be worried about, you know, running out at some point in future generations. Which to me raises the question, can everybody have one? I mean, if he just gives one of these sticks to everyone on the planet, then Kohuru is much, much, much less of a threat. Sure, monsters are popping up everywhere in the streets, but as soon as they do, everyone within a 5-block radius just takes out the stick they keep in their pocket and beats it to death. Sure, it's a little bit more of a chaotic world, but it's not a global apocalypse. So anyway, he hits a home run, he kills the monster, and Kohuru is so grateful, and he carries her out of the storehouse, which, again, weird. I mean, she can fly and pass through walls, but he's still carrying her around. I get that's kind of a whole her relying on him thing. They're a family now, and she can rely on him, but she can fly. And it's not like this temple is full of people. We've literally not seen a single other person in this whole temple area. So I see no reason why she can't just fly around from now on. I would actually very much enjoy that. I think that'd be funny as all hell, just her flying around as they chat back and forth, and then whenever someone starts coming up the steps, assuming that ever happens, he just yells, "Baked potato!" and she just drops to the ground. That would be really funny. From there, we get a bit of a history lesson about the 7th century Tang Dynasty, when monsters ran loose and Genjo Sanzo set out to exterminate monsters with a power pole, which he basically did by just giving them pieces of a stick and saying, "Here, use this, now you can kill monsters." Which, like I said, if everyone just had one of those poles, Kohuru would not be that much of a threat. But these sticks have been passed down from father to son through generations, and through generation and generation, until he's finally got this half a power pole now. Though the power pole itself has its own issues, because if other people see him using it, they'll realize that anything is possible, and their own monster eggs could hatch, which would be bad. But this world overrun with monsters was done on purpose by K, the Demon King of Chaos, which seriously sounds like a death metal singer. He's K, the Demon King of Chaos! Yeah! Okay, I can't do that. It hurts my throat. Anyway, he intentionally released as many demons and monsters as he could around the world, trying to destroy it or overrun it with monsters. And what's more, he had a lot of followers, which, to a certain extent, I can understand. If I found out a guy was summoning monsters to eat all of humanity, I'd be tempted to join him just because I don't want to get eaten. Though I think their reasons may be a bit different. And the followers are still around, or their descendants are anyway. They can't just make people see monsters with a flick of their wrist, but they can do it through a very complicated and difficult process, known as gaslighting, which, if you remember from the first chapter, was the title of the video of Kohuru sitting in the chair that was released online, which I'm assuming was by this group. I theorized last week that there was some crazy psycho group who wanted to use her to bring about the global apocalypse. And they're apparently going to do that by posting a video of her, I guess, making monsters, or just saying monsters exist. I'm not sure if her powers transfer through video, which, if they do, that would be the most terrifying thing imaginable. Anyone who watches the video would just start having monsters come to life, and yes, I said if everyone had a stick, they'd be fine, but they wouldn't have time to teach people how to use the sticks if everyone was just surrounded by monsters immediately. I mean, that would be worse than even K, the Demon King of Chaos, could have done. He could literally be in everyone's household that night. But, yeah, so they're saying gaslight means to make someone think they're crazy, and that's fairly accurate for this. Through this process, the followers make the participants, or unwilling participants, think they're going insane, which makes them think that anything's possible, which makes their mailbox open, and then monsters start sprouting out. What's more, they were even able to combine everyone's fear into one single terrifying monster. And what's more, these followers know about Kohuru. I mean, his father said, if they ever found out about Kohuru, they will use any means necessary to get her to use her powers. And in the end of the chapter, they literally say, I want you so bad, Koharu Mori. So they know her. They know she exists. They know probably where to find her at this point. Which, again, that's going to be bad for all of them, basically. I can certainly see even next chapter just opening up with them attacking the temple, and Ryu and Koharu have to run. His father gets killed, or something happens to him where they have to leave him, and they have to just live on their own, finding ways to make money, finding ways to survive. Which again, that could certainly drive her to see the darker side of humanity and make her turn evil. But if I had to guess, I'd still say the Gaslight video, was done out of extreme duress when Ryu was threatened with death if she didn't comply. But yeah, so that's what I think's gonna happen next week. But until then, like and subscribe, and